demonstrate the importance of big data, as has been borne out by countless analysts that highlight big data amongst one of two most important CIO priorities over the next few years. I would like to thank you for joining this session. And as you know, big data is not really new to us. We at PeopleTech have engaged with a number of clients to execute a number of data projects, and we hope to bring you our perspective and understanding around 4 core ideas and myths that PeopleTech believes about big data driven transformation projects. We're going to also interspace our point of view with case studies that highlight the point that we're trying to make, and we will also conduct polls to get your perspective and read on each of the points that we have over here. As a token of appreciation for your interest, we are offering a free workshop that can lead to a 30-day POC against a challenge that we jointly identified. We will share that at the end of the webinar, and I look forward to sharing the same with you. PeopleTech is a rather young company. It's been around for the last 10 years, 11 years to be precise. And it's a company which has focused its skills and development and investments around 3 or 4 core areas. We are in the area of cloud transformation, in the area of UI, UX, digital, and data. As we go through the slides, you will see all of these are relevant as we talk about specifically our play in big data. You will see the importance of the other areas that we have built our skills and capabilities on in those projects as well. We have about 1,500 people across 11 locations. And we have a very specific big data center of excellence that represents the experience of our practice leaders, which is augmented by tools and solutions and partnerships. We partner with the market leaders in the area of data and cloud, like Amazon, Microsoft, and Oracle, but also work with specific vendors who are leaders in specific areas of big data implementations like Hortonworks and Cloudera. In a nutshell, we are large enough to meet your needs and small enough to be agile and flexible to work successfully with you. Through this slide, we will, as you would see, that we have a breadth of experience that ranges across different industry segments. We have for people in retail, consumer products, we have people in automotive, customers in healthcare and life sciences, and financial and banking and financial services. So our experiences, and as we talk about them over the next few slides, will represent the kind of work that we have done for customers who are pretty much the Fortune 50 companies. As we go there, first look at big data and how it drives GDP growth. And if you bear with us, we'll explain exactly our perspective on that. We presented 2 points of view here. On the left-hand side is a look at American industries between 1917 and 2017. In the year 1917, the top American companies were largely manufacturing and infrastructure companies. Through 1967, it was mostly technology, services, and manufacturing. But if you look at 2017, the picture is very different. The top 10 companies now comprise largely of tech companies, but more focused on people who leverage data. Organizations like Amazon, which is the largest online retailer with near zero inventory, Airbnb, which is the largest hospitality company but does not own a single hotel room, Uber, the world's largest cab company, which is just a mobile app, and Facebook, which is the world's largest media company but creates no content of its own. excuse me. These are leaders pretty much because of the way they manage and use the data that they have. Big data is the new age equity. While we talk about it all the time conceptually, have you ever wondered about the true value? As you see, from the Forbes top 10 businesses by market cap have shifted from assets to services to data in the last 10 years, 100 years. This is not just it. If you look at the GDP growth, World Economic Forum presentation by the American delegation projects that by 2020, big data would be one of the top three contributors to growth of the US economy, and it has the potential across just two sectors to grow the economy by 1.7%. We're talking about a 1.7% of a $23 trillion economy. So big data not just is helping organizations grow in size, they're also contributing to the size of the economy, and therefore is a very relevant topic for us to be discussing today. After this slide, before handing over the presentation to my colleague, we would initiate a poll. That poll would seek to understand what your organization's objectives are in adapting big data as a transformation enabler. There are four options. You're either looking to redefine and transform the customer experience to drive higher sales, to optimize operational efficiency, reduce cost, or to better leverage partner ecosystem and social data services. That poll is just coming up for you now, and if you'd be so kind enough to choose your option and hit vote for us to be able to see the results. Thank you. And hey, looks like there was a technical glitch, and the poll, as the team in the back end starts working on the poll, and we'll promise you the poll will happen. The one. Here you go. Right here is the poll. Give it a moment as people are responding. Yep. I think everybody believes should be done. And let's see the results. Very interesting results, and I think something that bodes well for the rest of the conversation. Essentially, to drive higher sales and better customer experience. Yes, so big data as outcome of this poll, I believe, is unanimously now, at least for the opinion of this group, is your tool for customer experience transformation. So with that said, let's move forward a little bit. Let's get the presentation up and running. Perfect. So, I mean, you have heard my colleague talk along about what big data was doing and how it was being very critical. So I just wanted to, and he also talked about the big data center of excellence. So we have worked with several enterprise customers on a large number of data and analytics projects. As a result, we successfully built skills and best practices across the entire big data stack. From source, ingestion, storage and retention, processing and access. Yes, we have done it across the stack. In this picture, you will see it lists out a set of tools and technologies that our teams have built together. Our architects have used, our developers have built on this.
for various customers. However, a key to our success has been the ability to develop the custom tools and frameworks that were used as accelerators for our customers in their journey to adopt big data technologies. And irrespective of the type of engagement, whether you want a skill-based staff augmentation or resource augmentation model to at one end to actually executing a large end-to-end turnkey program, the Center of Excellence brings in the skills, the tools, the accelerators, and the resources not only to meet and exceed your expectations. So, moving on from there, and I promise this was my last sales pitch over here. Uh, we move on to what we have learned as a part of this Center of Excellence, as a part of this journey. So, when we start a big data initiative, what we believe is that everyone should keep a few things in their mind. The data is undoubtedly the new age equity. It has been proven both qualitatively and quantitatively. Recall the slides, a couple of slides back. So expect to get questioned by your CIOs or the CXOs or the CEOs as to what is the return on this asset for me. And once we cross that concept, we need to remember very clearly that big data is just not an island. It is not a process of processing tool which processes tremendous amounts of data. Unless you tie it with both internal and external data sources and take advantage of the expanded universe and leverage and use big data to enable AI and ML, it will probably not be as valuable as an asset as it should be. So remember that it is not an island. It provides the ability for you to personalize your product and offering to an ultra narrow demographic, in many cases just to one individual. It gives you the power of sale to actually sell the one and at the right time, at the right price, at the right place, and at the right value for your customer. It drives hyper personalization. Last but not the least, large and complex, and in general, not the hallmarks of a successful big data project. A series of small, elegant, and simple projects ensures higher success and delivers more customer satisfaction. It's a little counterintuitive, but we'll see. And that's the first concept we would like to focus on. Big data is not big projects. As I said, small, simple, and elegant often wins and delivers a higher value. So, when you are looking at a big data engagement, do not wait and get for all your ducks to sit on a row. Rather, when you define the project charter, sit down with your business stakeholder or your enterprise sponsor and find a quick win opportunity. It could be a vertical based opportunity which delivers a true insight into a customer insight or a problem that you want to solve, or a horizontal solution which probably would help you to resolve the enterprise problem regarding either storage or access or ingestion of data or visualization of data. But identify that quick win opportunity. Put the dedicated team together, because this is going to be the core of a large multifaceted program over a period of time working closely together with the business. Be very careful identifying who are going to be in the team and not. Next, make sure that you leverage your partners, because your partners and vendors will bring in tools and accelerators and solutions that can help you jumpstart your program project and help you give a rapid delivery back to your stakeholder or to your sponsor. And since many of these projects start off as either POCs or prototype, use cloud as a solution for your infrastructure needs so that you pay as you go and not have any burden with dedicated hardware or software at the start. And finally, suggest that you approach a rapid prototyping technique, use rapid application development, and avoid waterfalls as much as possible. So I'll just give you a case study as to where something like this helped us. So in one of the world's largest multi-line carriers, their claims adjudication process was not and it was slow and it resulted in a lot of pain. So the customer was unhappy. Their end customers were upset. Instead of looking at a large scale enterprise wide transformation in BPM plus data engagement, we helped them to improve the adjudication process by using the data that was available within the organization but not used by the system. And we used machine learning as a part of this whole journey for the adjudication system to start learning more and more based on the information that they received. The project delivered a significant improvement to existing automation levels, which increased up to 82%, resulting in customer happiness to 72, increase in customer happiness to about 72%. And remember, this is for an industry where renewals happen every year or every 6 months. This is just phenomenal. This was a small project for the overall enterprise standpoint or from an IT budget standpoint, but it successfully addressed customer satisfaction, productivity, cost savings for all concerned. So as I move on to the next concept, before I move on, actually, we would like to actually do a small poll here. If the technical stuff is working well, then we can address that very quickly. And what we would like to identify here is what are the biggest roadblocks for you and your organization face in a big data project? I'm referring to the big data big projects. So let's give it a minute. Well, I think it's fair. So we got the result up here right now. So we talk about the right infrastructure and the right skills and resources are the two biggest roadblocks for this. Again, not trying to get all ducks in a row and start with what you have and the ability to leverage your partners may most likely help you to get over this. As I move on now, we'll cover the next theme in a minute or so. So we talked about big data not being an island. And when I say it doesn't do very well when it stands alone, it's just a tool that can process vast amounts of data. When you actually think about harnessing big data and get the value out of it, you'll need a multi-dimensional approach to it. Irrespective of how many petabytes of data you hold, it's probably not going to have any value or much value, or you can actually multiply the value unless you leverage the new source of information. Information that is coming beyond the traditional data sources you're used to. Dark organization data or beyond your organization boundary, which help you identify your customer, think your customer better, and help your supply chain partners or your entire ecosystem to respond to a situation. Big data enables ML, AI, and advanced analytics. It is just not a consumer, but it actually enables those within the organization. So every time you couple big data with one of those tools, it is multiplied. The value that you generate out of it is multiplied. Big data means faster visualization for complex situations, lots of information. This helps you identify and project your customer needs and proactively help them. That creates a wow effect. Just from being happy customers, you create customers who are customers for life. And now we'll cover a quick case study that talks about this. This organization is one of the world's largest and fastest growing cloud services and software product companies. Now their customer satisfactions are very high. This case study is against the business unit that provided cloud services to its enterprise customers. The satisfaction levels were fairly high. The customers were happy with what they were getting. But when the people tech group team and the customer team sat together, they felt that there's something else that they can do to differentiate their solution to the customer. They believe that the happier customer, if they were able to save even more money, will come back to this organization to buy more. So here's what happened. So we redefined the information flow for the customer and found out that there were a ton of information that was already there, which we were not even using it. So at that point, we created a robust data lake for the customer with a proper visualization for all the information available. And this dashboard enabled the business and the technology leadership to pinpoint stuff that they didn't even know about their customers. And once all these information sources were streamlined into this format, we were able to cut down the reporting time from 3 days, 72 hours, to 4 hours. That's a savings of 68 hours. And what it really meant was that instead of reporting what you have consumed, we are now able to report what you are in the process of consuming and predict what you might use tomorrow. And based on that, it saw a significant reduction. It helped the customers plan better. And based on that, we saw the significant reduction of, significant reduction in the support calls that the customer used to make, to the extent about 65% reduction, and the revenue increase from those customers went up by about 20% for us. So, with a 20% increase in sales for the organization, a 65% reduction in support costs, and a happier set of customers, this was a really win-win case where we're able to use a large big data in a much better fashion than what we were using it, just using the basic simple data and analytics. As I move on and cover the next topic around big data and new equity, it is nothing new, even in this presentation. We already referred to it at the very beginning when we were talking about, the value market capitalization of the Forbes top 10. But are there certain elements of that value? We'll find out as we move on to the next slide. Absolutely. There are 3 cardinal rules that we find. Unlike cash in the bank, which is an asset, just having the data with you is not enough. It will not help you. But the ability to use the data and craft insights that you can act upon actually drives the return of the value on these data assets. Remember, the data assets, a significant amount of data assets is transient. So, when you use it timely and effectively to drive strategy and action, that is at the time when the data asset is most valuable. And the idea for any technology and operations entity is to support its business by making sure that the data and the information is available at the point where you need it and the point when you want to make a difference to your customer. And last but not the least, like brand equity, the other intangible asset was built on enterprise activities. For example, like your Super Bowl ads or the Hollywood stars that probably modeled for it. Data equity is actually built on effective use of the data, but it is an equity. It is going to drive, it's proven its impact on the financial value of an organization, and it's going to continue to drive both an impact to the organization as well as to the GDP. Well, a lot of big words, but let's move on to a more core theme around a case study. This is a very unique solution. One of the biggest players in the F&B, food and beverages sectors globally, had a challenging problem just affecting their quality control metrics. So the product was launched to control the quality, to automate the defect identification and reduce spillage. When they started putting together using big data, the team processed about 2 terabytes of data daily to derive multiple different matrices across the board. And once and then based on that insight, the team was able to segment the manufacturing process into various stages of clusters of activity. And as a result, each cluster of activity and the interdependency between the clusters were identified and considered into 9 different parameters. We are able to leverage information from machines that were generating the information but never used before. And we were able to speed up the process by looking at the data every 15 minutes rather than once in a day. So what happened as a result of that? Some of you at the manufacturing side might relate to the fact that clustered manufacturers is one of the first steps toward lean manufacturing. A better quality control, reduced 5% wastage on all the raw materials. And you know what? It helped them to come down to near zero inventory by aligning the information better with their vendors so that their vendors did not suddenly start getting information about returns in the middle of the process or ask for a new shipment right at somewhere in the middle of the day. It is already better planned from that perspective. So moving on from there, what it also resulted in is a massive improvement in quality of the end product, which was the final goal. And I can say safely that one of the reasons you are having a pack of potato chips next to you is probably because of this project. I'd like to move on quickly to the next slide and talk about the most important theme that we identified at the very beginning of the poll. Big data as a tool for customer transformation. Hyper-personalization is one of the key elements of big data. The customer experience transformation needs to incorporate enormous amount of data to drive a customization to the one and your ability to sell to the one. Given the massive source of external and internal data, the volume and variety of the data has gone up significantly. And the key to use what you really need means that you need a better control on the veracity of the data that is correct. And you have to be right on time to create a quick win at the moment of truth that the customer interacts with you. In order to create that quick win, you have to generate a point of value for the customer. See how all the 5 V's of big data essentially wraps around this core theme. And what I would like to point out here, last but not the least, is that if you do not use it, your competitors are going to use it. And it's just for you to consider this just as a search result would be doing your customers a disservice. You to use completely and comprehensively every time where you try to create a hyper-personalized landscape. Leverage big data and predictive analytics. Create recommendations. Drive unique customer experiences and relationships. You need to sell to the one. So adapt your communications and your offers completely customized. Last but not the least, don't get lost in the forest. There are too many inputs seemingly impacting too many different parameters. Your focus, as we already have discussed, is to identify that quick win. Identify the right outcome and make sure you maximize your return by addressing the parameters that affect it and focus and maintain a laser focus on that. As we move on from this slide, I'd like to conduct a quick poll. So the poll talks about which theme will you ideally fit in now that you heard us go through all these 4 themes and the projects and you know there are overlaps, but which is your primary theme? Let's spend a moment trying to capture the information. Well, the system says that the information is already there. Can we show the results, please? Big data enables micro insights into personalization and is alone not enough. Absolutely. Again, tying into the overall customer transformation theme, I think big data as a true transformation enabler, value of it is clearly identified. Moving on to the back to the presentation. As I move on to the next slide, I just wanted to explain to you what we do typically with our customers, how we engage. If you are interested, based on what you heard, I'm more than happy to offer a free 1 or 2 day design and discovery workshop for you. In the design and discovery workshop, we bring in the technology expertise, our past experience, and the frameworks, and sit with you and your business experts and your team of technology experts to identify a few use cases or a couple of areas of challenge for you. And once we identify those, we essentially try to spend the entire day with you to craft a solution that might be implemented as a quick win solution for that and implemented and deployed for you. If you are fine with that, we move on to the next stage and actually work with you on a pilot engagement. And in this pilot engagement, we end up actually delivering and deploying the challenge that we are identified together. And this would be done to you in either 30 days or less. And this is the component that you are not going to lose out or you are not going to throw out of the window. This is something that will be a reusable component for you, use in your big data project, even if you do not work with us in the future. So with that, I would like to open the forum up for questions. However, before I do that, I'd like to remind the audience that they are on mute so far and they will now be opened up. And secondly, for all those who are viewing this at a later stage, we have had several requests from the Q&A part of the webinar, since it might have some specific or private information in there. So we would definitely respect their wishes, and the Q&A portion will not be included as a part of this webinar. But in case you have any questions, feel free to write to us. The email links are provided. Please feel free to write to us, and we'll be more than happy to get back to you immediately. Thank you and have a great day. And once again, to everyone who attended the call, thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to you in the big data workshop, as well as doing a pilot POC with you guys. Bye-bye. Thank you. Well, I'm done. Sure, sure.